We will now move on to the last leg of the seminar, which is the panels, what they call panels discussion, where we have invited two elite and a moderator. We would like to invite them to the stage. I'll start with Mr. Pete Yong as a co-founder and president of Control Shift. I will not read his resume because it's very long. That would mean that we will have this session tomorrow morning again, same time. And the next elite would be Mr. Joe Nguyen, Senior Vice President, Asia Pacific Comscore Incorporated. And finally, the unmistakable, remarkable Mr. Ngan Siu Seong to be the moderator. The format, I assume, would be Mr. Ngan will grill them, toast them, deep fry them, extract from them some of the answers that you may like to hear. And if that is not complete, you may again continue with undiminished intensity to ask them the same things again. Maybe you can start off, Mr. Ngan, to help us through. Thank you.
Thank you for staying with us. I can see some people want to go to the toilet breaks are not going off, I hope so. Well, this is a panelist, so I don't know what form you will take. Would you want panelists to give some view, because I see Pete and June have not spoken, and then thereafter maybe we can open for grilling. Pete?
Hi. In terms of a bit of context, so I'll tell you my journey and story with Tim and Ken. And essentially, Tim approached me a few months ago, right, saying, "Hey, I'm looking at this, and this is the vision, right?" And the first thing I thought about was, okay, are you guys going to be the run of the mill, right? And the run of the mill is the other players that you see in the market today, from the iProperties to the Star Properties and all that, right? And I think there were two large take-homes, which got me extremely excited. One is that it's the vision and passion of first two individuals, Ken and Tim, to really look at a market that needs fixing, right? Not needs fixing, but really needs to be made more efficient. And in that efficiency, there are a lot of gaps, right? Whether it be understanding consumers, giving the right messages, and how property developers generally take a print ad and put it online or put it on a billboard or whatever, right? And it's a push, it's not a pull, right? And there is nobody in the market really that is focused on this segment, right? I think a lot of you use agencies, but the agencies work with every single, they're in it for the money, right? They don't specialize in property, right? So that's one big take home I got, which was the vision and mission, right? The other thing is that within the digital industry, it's all about disruption, right? And in that sense, that's where I totally saw a different market model for Property 365. Nowhere in Southeast Asia today, right, at least that I know, actually hardly in the world, where there's a company that truly does it end-to-end, right? IFCA is your trusted partner already on the back end of your business, right? But if there's a company that, number one, could do it end-to-end, from all the way from funneling customers down to your sale and the management of these customers, right? Number one, from a digital perspective, the data that you have accelerates it by 300%, right? So again, I'll in terms of the journey, right, and answering some of the questions that you guys have talked about. Imagine why people buy property, right? A mum with two young children, if I know that she's a mom with two young children, right, actually would buy a property because there's safety, there's security, there's a great playground, there's a wonderful children's pool, right? A guy may be looking at it because of an investment, right? And they are all audiences, but if I knew all this data on this person, whether it be from the understanding that you have on your customer, right? Or it could be even that data that Property 365 has, or data that Control Shift has, right? What if they went on the internet and it was exactly what they were looking for? What if it was that mom and she saw a picture with a family of children and it was security and safety? And that same person going to the internet as the dad, seeing a totally different thing, but it's for the same property, right? Would it make it much more relevant, right? And this relevance and this process of bringing it down through the back end and all that accelerates your efforts by, it's not about efficiency in marketing, it's actually efficiency in all the way down, right? All the way down to yield management and closing the loop and making the funnel really small. So in that essence, I really need to congratulate Tim and Ken. This vision, I think Property 365 is going to be the bomb, right? It's going to change the way the industry looks at things.
Hi, Joe Nguyen from ComScore. Just a couple of things. How many people do you think go online in Malaysia to look at real estate? 200,000? Anyone? 300,000? 400,000?
So actually, Ricardo shared the slide earlier on. Yeah.
1 million, right? July was the largest ever in our records of people visiting real estate sites. So the first time it went over 1 million was in July, right? So, and this is on PCs, right? So what we've seen is real estate as a category for PC is still very strong. It's a larger screen. They want to see things. Mobile is when they're out there on a Saturday or Sunday, and they're in Mont Kiara, and they're saying, what else is having it open, right? That's when they look at their mobiles and they search. But when they're sitting down and doing their research and want to look at the property and all that stuff, they'll use a large screen. And tablets has a play in that too. And the other thing, if none of Ricardo looked into it, was the age demographic of people looking at real estate. Obviously, there are less older people, but they're more skewed. So the 55 plus. So I was looking at numbers just now. Over 10% that are online are actually looking at real estate. So the skew is actually quite high. So it's not, imagine you're older. You don't want to look at a mobile, right? You need to read this stuff, so you need a larger screen, right? So PC and to use that in larger tablets and stuff like that. Now that Apple's come out with a 12-inch tablet, there's actually still a lot. It's a huge market. So I think, I've been in digital for 15 or so years, and part of that was for Millennium Copthorne Hotels. So I was working for e-commerce for Hotel Group, which belongs to CDL, right? And a lot of property developers, even Kwek Lang Beng at that time, was looking at it as saying, well, the property I own is the value of the property, not the business on it. And it was one of the hardest things I had to justify that as running a hotel. Online for a hotel, that e-commerce actually is a big thing, direct e-commerce. Last thing is, it's interesting that you guys are still doing a lot of print. It's what you're doing is direct marketing. What you're trying to do is direct marketing. You want to lead, and that's really pure direct marketing. And when you blast it out like that, it's a shotgun approach, right? It's not really targeted direct marketing. And I used to do direct marketing TV many years ago, selling can openers on TV and stuff like that. And it is direct marketing. It's using the very mass media to direct marketing, which is wastage.
Tim has spoken enough, so I think we don't let him hold the mic. And I have a burning question. Well, I believe that engaging customer online, I think today is really quite common. I think we all go online to look at things. Sometimes before I go to IKEA, I check whether they stock or not. Instead of driving there all the time, if I want to buy tickets, I don't just go to Mars or Embarrass. I will search, and by booking a hotel, I will go to agoda.com, and look at it. So I think creating a marketplace for property is really, overdue. Overdue. So this marketplace that we are creating for property, I think is very good. Now I want to have these questions now. Which country has successfully implemented this, what I call this app or portal marketplace, where people book online? Because I heard today, this is not making a purchase, but making a booking. So you can choose your good lot, maybe at a price that is special, before you put up to the market. So which country, is a good business model to take a look? Maybe for Tim.
I mean, to be honest, and I guess Joe probably can verify this, and because we have, partners here from other parts of the world, I think online booking of properties, as far as I know, has happened in India, which is why we had that little clip on the cover of the program. You can go back and Google. It's actually on Bloomberg. Interestingly, this developer actually put up their property in a portal called Snapdeal. Snapdeal, and surprisingly, people are actually buying. And somebody was joking with me, but it's in rupiah. But no, it's actually quite a few 100,000 million, in terms of the thing. The other thing, I think the other place that I think online booking has happened is actually in China. But I don't really have the specifics, but I'm sure you have heard of this property portal in China called Sofen. If you look at their revenue breakdowns, it's very interesting. It's becoming more like an e-commerce company. It's actually taking transactions out of the property that has been transacted. I really don't think that there is anyone who have actually successfully built a marketplace for property, in particular for new developments, where you fundamentally connect supply with demand, and allow for transactions to actually happen. So I think we hopefully will be the first one in this region, and as Pete said, probably even in the world, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree. China is probably one of those places where a lot of things are happening online. U.S. as well. Just people are just naturally doing stuff online, and in China they don't even think of it as online. They just do it. They're making mortgage payments through Alibaba, right? They're buying cars through Alibaba. I mean, the payment gateway, and people actually leave money on Alibaba and they use it as a bank. Right? Alibaba is a bank along with Tencent. I mean, so and it's a purely online bank. There's no physical presence, right? So the countries where people are just naturally doing it, and it's just the way it makes things easier, they'll just get on it, and eventually the people will start doing it that way. And a lot of it's maybe refundable deposits, maybe things like that, right? It's just booking, a place, right, with your credit card, so that you know who they are, that they have a certain trust in you, and then you proceed on with the real sale and the SPA.
Control Shift has one of these portfolio companies that we've invested in, right? It's a company that's called Ringgit Plus. And essentially it's a financial tech company that helps banks acquire customers, right? And based on technology, there is the physical elements of it as well. But it's essentially understanding the consumer through the entire journey. And this is also part of the plan of Property 365, right? It could be online fair, marketing people, targeting the right people, the right properties. when they go down to the fair, there's data on these people, right, which your salespeople could even potentially follow up on as a vision, right? And in terms of the vision also, although it's not mentioned yet, Ken and Tim have got much greater visions for this. This is just the first iteration of Property 365. But there are many other plans to basically help you, the developers and the consumers, do things so easily, right? And again, it could be even in loans and stuff like that as well. But yeah, I think it's about technology making it so much better. And again, I don't think I should reveal more on this. Tim wants to do it.
Actually, I was quite encouraged when Tim mentions that 3-4 years ago, iProperty also implemented this e-booking and generated 40 bookings. So it did not take off. Is that so?
Because I left, ma.
Yeah. And you also mentioned there was no integration at the back end. So you're suggesting that the end-to-end solution is the answer?
Is that a question for me?
Yes.
Okay. I think if you look at it from the standpoint of your property, which is physical, as an inventory, right? Because you fundamentally sell properties and your inventory is the unit information. That unit information today is actually digital, correct? It sits in your back-end IFCA system. If you don't have real-time integration with the back-end, you guys face this problem all the time. Somebody buys a unit, salesperson has to call back the back office and make sure the unit is available. Sometimes there will be issues of double booking and things like that. So the only practical way to ensure that the online booking works and the fact that you actually have a sales gallery 24/7, 365 is to make sure that your inventory management system is real time. So that's what we want to do, and that's what we want to achieve, so that you can then really track whether it's the sales manager or your boss. You would actually be able to look at dashboards and know when bookings are happening and things like that. So I think the real-time integration is really the differentiator, because Kok Yi left already. Oh, okay. So when we did it with Kok Yi, actually you can ask him. His experience is that it's a good thing, and however the pain starts because it's not integrated. So they have to double check, make sure that so you do online booking here, and then what if somebody walks into the showroom, pick the same unit? So the whole promise of online booking is actually not online anymore. It's actually off. So you think about it, it's only online when I'm talking about real time, the real inventory, right? So I think the back-end integration is necessary for this vision to be fulfilled.
Tim, this iProperty, I think, is now the digital portal, been the biggest, been here for a long time. So what are the key difference between Property 365 and the iProperty?
Not fair for me to answer. Pete.
Is it fair for me to answer this? I think there are a few large fundamental differences, right? Number one, iProperty is a portal-based system that brings in consumers for property, right? And that's the business that they do, right? And a large portion of that business is based on the concept of advertising, right? Property 365's mission and vision is totally different. It's like I said, it's really a seamless end-to-end data-driven play for developers, for the market, right? And it's not just a website. Even I don't even think the website of Property 365 is even the focus. It could be even your marketing dollars driving straight your websites potentially as well, right? Because you also use the IFCA system potentially, right? So there's no relevance in a sense to iProperty, and that's why I say I was totally excited, because this is a true disruptor to the market.
I think the fundamental difference is the fact that our purpose really, and I want this, and I want my team, and I want whoever is in our company that will be doing this to understand that our purpose is to help you sell. The purpose of media companies, seriously speaking, sometimes is not to help you sell. They just want to sell you the space, and they want to sell you advertising. It's a tall order, but then again, if it's not a tall order, it's not worth doing. I know we are going through tough times. Let's face it. I sometimes feel it as much as you do, because we are in the industry. Market is really soft. Things are, and still I think we want to do that. Now, iProperty may turn around and say that, yeah, we want to do the same thing as well. But the fact of the matter is that their DNA is fundamentally listings. And they have a huge part of their business that's driven by sub-sale listing. We are very focused. We want to focus primarily on new developments. And in fact, potentially we could also be leveraging on the tens of thousands of agents as part of the ecosystem to actually help you sell as well. So I think there are similarities, and it's kind of difficult to say that, no, how come? But I think the differences are more driven by the purpose of the organization and what we are trying to achieve. Yeah, together with Control Shift, of course, and you notice that we also have to partner with MOL, MoldPay, because we have to make sure that the payment is also seamless. Yeah.
I'm independent of this stuff. I didn't know much about Property 365 before I came, right? So I'm independent. The way I sort of see it is, what I've heard today is, the websites out there now tend to be, if you very put it simply, on the buy side, and what Property 365 do is on the sell side, right? Representing, and with the especially on the digital front, things kind of collide. Right, a lot of the middlemen start to go away. That's the whole point of the intermediaries and stuff like that. The websites out there tend to be intermediaries. They're trying to bring together, they're trying to get the audience, which is the buy, right, the people, and match that with the sell side, right? What I'm hearing today is you guys are on the sell side, and moving more towards tech play, towards a data play, to become more the front end and to identify the right users, but from a sell-side perspective. That's just my take after, 2 hours?
Thanks. I think we're open to the floor. Yep.
I think I also want to mention one thing, because it's important for you to understand this, yeah? The next phase of digital marketing is no longer about what banners do you buy on which portal, so to say, because we may end up buying traffic on iProperty for you. Yeah, because at the end of the day, we need to make sure that we drive the right audiences to you. And if they have audience, we will then target, and the guy could be going to iProperty. So it's no longer a place where, like what Pete's saying, it is fundamentally you go there because you are searching. We are, like what Joe is saying, we're actually reaching out based on data to make sure that you reach the right target market. And they could be on iProperty, they could be on PropWall, they could be reading Malaysia Kini, and things like that. So it's actually across the digital world rather than portal specific, right?
Can we open to the floor if you still have any burning questions? Because after this, when you go bed, your senior will ask you, should we go for it or not? Or this is marketing. Can we open to the floor?
Good afternoon, I'm Wong from SpeedRun. I'm not a developer, I'm actually a consumer. Typically, I think right now, when I go to iProperty or anything, it's coming back to a clutter thing, it's, I see a lot of properties, and typically when you advertise in iProperty, I would just click on multiple sites and then I got lost. And then I don't I don't buy anything because just too noisy. And I think that they have a very good vision where you're trying to help developer to sell so that I can actually target the audience. So for example, when you say, coming back to Tim's point, you are not getting my attention. Why should I care? You tell me that you have a big swimming pool. Why should I care? For example, if I don't swim. So it's a lot of, in digital, I don't read The Star. I read Malaysia Kini and stuff like that. But I think the fact that a person that helps you to sell, they don't mind advertising on different sites because their objective is helping you to sell. Whereas something, iProperty, their job is, like I always say, their job is just to classify, and then their job ends when your advertisement is shown. That's all they care. They show you how many views. They are not talking how many sales that they have generated for you. So for me, I think if I could have a site that allows me to see and target it, specifically to me. So for example, I have 2 kids. I'm a lifestyle guy. I like swimming pools and stuff. And you have a picture that shows me, for example, a great view and stuff like that. I'll be interested. And the first thing is, sometimes I'm very lazy to go to a show house because what I see doesn't mean what I get, right? Because you renovate it to such nice thing, but it doesn't concern me. What I want to see is just the overview and have the right information, 3D views of the house. And the best thing is, if I like it, I can just book it there. It's very simple. So I think it's a very good thing as a consumer. Good stuff. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks for the feedback. You are a consumer, so I also feel the same. Though I'm not young like you. Everything depends on the screen, the profile before you make a purchase decision. But thanks for the feedback. You want to ask something? No? Anybody else has any burning questions before we close? Because the stomach is calling.
I'd like to address this to Tim. Basically, I think the digital expo that you were talking about is exciting for a reason that I don't have to walk 2 hours in the convention center. But can you please expand a bit on how it's going to be done? Because there's also a concept of cluttership. Too many developers in the digital platform, it may also confuse buyers.
The interesting thing about our expo is, clearly if you're thinking about a physical expo, there's always physical limitations, yeah? So I'm just looking at Janice because don't worry, Janice will call on you and tell you when are the expos coming, where are they, and things like that. Now, the number of participants that we can have in an expo is limited by the number of space that we have, right? So we are not going to clutter the digital side as well, right? So I think maximum probably and we are not planning to do it in big spaces as well. We want to be very selective. But we want to make sure that we pick maybe 20 or 30 developers that will follow us and get this digital presence as well. And we want to make sure that the site is very specific, very uncluttered, and then you will get the maximum exposure. But that's not the key thing. Building a site doesn't mean that people will come. So I mentioned again, our expo, because it's a hybrid kind of expo with a digital component, a physical component, followed by a digital component, so we wrap it around, will be driven primarily by working with Control Shift, understanding what kind of products you have, and then we do possibly even pre-registration. Now, here is where, guys, because if we are going to stick our neck out and say that our purpose is to help you sell, then I hope that you would also step one step forward and say, okay, let's jointly try to sell this. Because if you are willing to then do creative marketing with us, then the people who actually sign up with Property 365 and the expo might then be given privileges to buy your property. Right? So there are many creative things that we can do because there's a digital element. Because a physical expo doesn't give you that flexibility, you just get the space. I'm sorry to say this, but sometimes you're hoping that your boss may say, no choice, I have to be there because your competitor is there. But at the end of the day, you know that you still want to have leads. The physical expo by itself is fundamentally the same concept again of pushing. You hope that through the print ads and through whatever, you get people to come. Right? Now, so I think it's very important that whoever believes in us and wants to give this a shot, we need to sit down and understand your project. We need to understand who you are trying to target, and then we'll work with Control Shift to make sure that we drive the right kind of traffic to the fair. Now, the next question you have for me then is, but what if I have a competitor next door? That is a very difficult, because at the end of the day, there will be competitive products, right? So I think, yeah. So does that explain it a little bit more? Yeah?
Okay. Any more questions? I mean, you want to sell development, for example, Singapore development or China development in Malaysia, or selling Malaysian development in China?
We represent developments that are outside of Kuala Lumpur, in let's say Indonesia, but targeting Malaysians or Singaporeans.
Oh, okay. Selling Indonesian property to Malaysians.
To Malaysians or Singaporeans or...
Where is Roland? Roland! Answer lah, you property man. If I'm not wrong, okay, the beauty about technology clearly is borderless. Ideally speaking, anybody can sell anything anywhere, right? But you and I know that there are local regulations that real estate industry is governed by. For example, I think if you're a developer, you want to sell property in Singapore, sometimes you have to appoint I think if you are not there yourself,
a local agent.
Yeah, you are pushing the envelope though. But I think Ken will love to hear this, because naturally we have a platform that can do that, and we also want to be a partner to the thousands of agents in Malaysia. So we can actually hook you up if we have a project in Indonesia. We can hook you up with a local agency so that you have a local representation that can allow you to sell. Roland, correct, right? You don't have a local guy you can't sell, right?
You need to work in conjunction with a local agent here. Similarly, when Malaysian developers go to Singapore, they usually have to have some linkages with the local agents.
I think I'm not trying to answer that. The detail that I learned is that it has to be end to end, and I think if you are selling Indonesian property, definitely I think it can be done through Property 365, because majority of property developers in Indonesia use IFCA, so it made end to end possible. Otherwise you can go to iProperty.
Yeah, we're using IFCA, that's right.
Yeah, we're using
No, I'm trying to answer that. I thought, if I would just thought that would be some another form, another answer to your questions. You want to ask some more? Oh, you want to answer? Yeah, our Bapak from Indonesia.
Excuse. I'm real Indonesian, so I answer the question regarding Indonesia. My name is Musa, real Indonesian name. So like Mr. Ngian said, most of the developers are using our software. I represent IFCA Indonesia. Purposely come here for this. We also arranging similar things in Indonesia. We want to put a site in Indonesia too, e-commerce site. We want to be big in Indonesia too. Yeah. So I believe if we link up the site or all those things, definitely we can In terms of system and technology, we can do it. But rules and regulation is another question. Indonesia project is not, property of Indonesia is not open for foreigner yet, but it's going to open with certain rules. Yeah. However, if not open, at least you can publish all your project digitally in our site and e-commerce site. I think technology-wise, no problem. We can meet up. Okay, thank you.
Okay, if there's no questions, maybe allow me just to say one or two things. You know, the economy is so good, so is the industry. So I went through in my near 40 years in property development 2 very bad storms. Okay, in any economic slowdown, it's really an opportunity for you to re-engineer your company. And there's no two way about it. When you come out of the storm, you know, the product, the service, the consumer, the way that you communicate and sell will change. You can't do the same thing the same way and expect different result. There's no two way about it. Change is the only constant. And this is not political, not Uber. And after having sat through today, and I actually quite convinced with this Property 365 because it's not just advertising space. You know, I think advertising space is really a waste of time. They were asking whether you read Star or not. Unfortunately, my generation still, I read Star. But on an iPad, easier to hold away in the toilet. You know, but because I read Malaysian Kini first, because Kini terkini, you don't want to read yesterday's news, and I look at the Star, I look at the headline, you know, I don't even look at the ad and things like that. So I think ad really a waste of space. More important, I think Property 365 is, as Tim say, you know, that it's much able to buy audience. This is where control shift. Today also I understand what control shift is doing, you know, even profile and sell audience to the bank. And then able to reach them and engage them, whether they look through it or not. You just look at one page of ad, you just flip it away these days, no. And I think in my near 40 years, ad drew the least number of customers to you. The cost acquisition through ad is very, very, very high, very, very expensive. So I think these are the things that I think Property 365 will able to help you, and more important, I think, because it's end-to-end, real-time information. Whatever unit you want, because it's a good view or because of the height is available, and you just have to make a booking. I think making a booking may be not very expensive. I don't know how much, depends on developer, how much developer prepared to accept the booking. And I'm sure there are a lot more details, though I'm a developer, I also sometimes puzzle, how you sell brick and mortar online. So I'm sure that you have a lot more questions you want to ask. And please contact Tim, or Tim will probably call you, all his girls will be running after you to give you more details about what this is all about, how technology can connect with bricks and mortar. Thank you.